ever played. These nations meet to start a group that shivers with uncertainty. It was wearing their old overcoats of Czechoslovakia and West Germany that they played that dazzling 2-2 draw in 1976. The Czechs, as Desmond said, winning on penalties. But now, as they come out at Old Trafford to a great welcome, they're wearing their new apparel of the Czech Republic in red and plain Germany in white. Well supported and retaining those well-known characteristics of national pride and football pedigree. It's a lively, almost jubilant atmosphere inside this ground. The capacity here now, 53,000 for the championship, and they were expecting over 40,000 today. It's a colourful scene as this Northwest group gets underway, a group which also includes Italy and Russia. They've called it the group of death. You have a feeling that one of the favourites, the Germans or the Italians, might just be in for a surprise.
Can I just ask everyone in the stadium now to stand up, please, for the playing of the national anthems. Thank you.
Both anthems well received and sung by most of the players, who will now shake hands. This is the UEFA pledge for sportsmanship and fair play. There are just two captains there, cadets of the Czech Republic, and here it comes, the hallelujah handshake along the line, wishing each other all the best for this match and the tournament. You'll see this at every ground. Nice touch, and The Germans start the tournament not only without Jürgen Klinsmann, who you saw in the national anthem, but with midfielder Stefan Freund also suspended, and the attacker Mario Basler sent home for a minor operation. Only 4 players remain from the team beaten by Bulgaria in the World Cup. And for today anyway, Trevor, there's a new striking partnership, Freddy Bobic and Stefan Kuntz.
Yes, well, Sammer's going to be the playmaker at the back. Reuter and Ziege will be the attacking wing-backs. But if Bobic and Kuntz are going to have an effect on this particular match, I think Hassler, the number 10, I always enjoy watching him, and Moller in midfield. They're the 2 attacking midfielders that will have to supply the service.
Well, the Czechs know the enemy only too well, because half of their team nearly play in the German Bundesliga. Number 2, Latal, and number 7, Nemetz, play for Schalke. Number 5, Kadlec, and number 9, Kukar, the top scorer, have just won the German Cup and been relegated with Kaiserslautern. And Patrick Berger, who won a championship medal with Borussia Dortmund, is left on the bench.
Well, the goalkeeper, Peter Kuber, is highly rated and subject to transfer speculation, so his performance will be closely scrutinised, I'm sure. Kadlec, the number 5, is their own playmaker for the Czech Republic, but I think that midfield trio, Friedek, Babel and Nemetz, are going to have to try and wrestle that important department if the Czech side are going to do well against the Germans.
We have an English referee today, David Elleray, who's taken charge of some big occasions in his time. He has 2 linesmen in his team from England, Tony Bates and Peter Walton, and the reserve referee, Steve Lodge, makes up the all-English team of officials. And what an opportunity here for the number 9, Freddy Bobic, born in Slovenia, but the top scorer in the Bundesliga this season with Stuttgart. And Alan Hansen's already mentioned Kukar and his scoring record. He's done something recently that no player managed for England yesterday. That was to score 2 against Switzerland. Anyway, the Czechs playing from left to right, the Germans in the white. Old adversaries in many ways. The Czechs now divorced from the Slovaks in both a political and a football sense, with their own identity. What was it Bismarck said? If you rule Bohemia, you own most of Europe. Well, the Czechs have taken much of the territory with them. Whether they can take over Europe's football map as well, we might find out today. The Germans don't concede ground usually. There's Jürgen Kohler. He'll be playing as a marker with Helmer and Sammer behind them, and that's a foul on Nemetz, the midfield player. Hassler, that'll be quite a battle in the centre there between those 2 creative players. So a free kick to the Czechs. Kadlec takes it. Kukar waiting in the centre. It's Poborski. He's been preferred up front to Drulak. Little Karol Poborski. He'll be wearing number 8.
A good look with a skill out wide. He looked as if he then had to cross it with the outside of his right foot. The left one not too confident with that.
Stefan Reuter with the throw. Well, the ground isn't full, but the supporters are making an inordinate amount of noise in these opening minutes. That was Bobic, back to Reuter. Stefan Kuntz waiting in the centre. Hessler. It didn't go out. Here's Babel, who's been preferred to Berger in midfield. That's a somewhat surprising choice by the Czechs, but it's Poborski who hooks it on. And this is the man you've got to watch, Kukar. He's quick and lively, and he brought Andreas Köpke racing out of goal.
Good ball from Poborski. He knew he was running behind him, and he got clear of the defenders. Fortunately for Germany's point of view, just too far ahead, and they will Köpke to come out. But good positive opening, I think, by the Czech side. They've got a lot of supporters cheering them here.
Well, there were an awful lot of Czechs around when I was with them at the training camp this week. This is Latal. David Elleray says no.
He just overran it and went down for the free kick, but he had lost control. But Germans was mentioned in the studio, they will have a patient opening. They have done, but not got into it so far as an attacking force.
It's a big, big question. How will they fare without Klinsmann? This is Kohler, and now Matthias Sammer, the sweeper, wearing number 6. Babel got the better of Andy Moller there. I'm just wondering if that's the reason he's been included, to follow the German number 7. He's a strong player, is Babel. Well built, and plays for Slavia Prague, who've just won the championship in the Czech Republic, and indeed also reached the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup. And the goalkeeper, Kubar from Sparta Prague, who, as Trevor says, could be on the move soon. Kukar, Poborski. Christian Ziege now for Germany. That was a story this afternoon that Kubar, the goalkeeper, could be a target for Rangers in Scotland. He's certainly got a growing reputation. He's keeping Pavel Cernicek of Newcastle out of the team. Cernicek's the number 2 goalkeeper here. This is Bobic. Now Kadlec. Header was by Helmer, now Hassler. Babel got in quickly. That's Nedved on the left there for the Czechs, number 4. Helmer. Sammer. This is Reuter. Well, Jürgen Klinsmann's played for Germany 85 times and has scored 36 goals. But he's unable to improve on that record today because he was given 2 yellow cards in the qualifying competition. Here's one of his replacements, Bobic. Goal kick. There's been some argument between the Germans and UEFA about this rule that yellow cards should count. They argue that because England didn't play any qualifying matches, they can't have a player suspended, so why should the others suffer? But several countries have, haven't they?
I think it's quite fascinating to see how Bobic and Kunz do, because they are realistically competing in this 90 minutes for who's going to play alongside Klinsmann in the next match.
There's also Oliver Bierhoff among the substitutes, who plays in Italy. He was a candidate for selection today, but missed out. We might see him later. Because what the 2 matches have proved so far, apart from the fact that nobody's won either of them, is that coaches will make liberal use of the 3 substitute ruling and can have all other members of the squad to choose from on the bench, not just 5. They're all strict. This is Nemec for the Czech Republic with the throw. Babel. Friedek. Well, it's ours, surely, says Kukar. David Ellery says otherwise. Well, we've already seen that players have got to be very careful, both with their tackling and with their reaction to incidents after what happened earlier today in a stormy second half between Spain and Bulgaria. Here comes Thomas Helmer. Got it back from Bobic.
That's what they do well, the Germans. Helmer on this occasion breaking. Sammer is the spare man of the 3 central defenders, and Kohler probably more than any one of that trio will just hold more. But Helmer's quite comfortable coming out. He has played sweeper in the past, so those defenders are very accomplished and can be constructive from an attacking point of view.
Poborski just pushed Helmer over there. It's a quickly taken free kick. Christian Ziege gets the Germans moving again. Stefan Kuntz. It's a free kick to the Czechs. Jan Sukuparek was the man fouled. number 3. Kunz just leaning into him a bit there on the back. Favourites the Germans have been quoted at, 66-1 outsiders the Czechs. But that particular piece of information won't be of any comfort to Bertie Vogts, the German coach, who's yet to win a major tournament. Here's Kukar, Poborski. Now Andy Moller. Big hopes resting on him in the German midfield, but look how well Poborski did to get back. And that's his flick too. Kukar, who went down, and the German player who went down with him is injured, but play goes on with Stefan Reuter. Jürgen Kohler picking himself up meantime. Here's Dieter Eilts. Reuter. What a bad cross. Bobic coming in with the goalkeeper Kubar, who didn't hold it. No foul given. Latal. To Babel, and Kohler's out the game. He's on the ground still holding the leg. The Germans one short in defence. Matthias Sammer has to cover. Well, they're saying kick the ball out to Koepke because attention is needed here. Jürgen Kohler, who tangled here with Kukar, and Kohler, who retires from international football at the end of this tournament, and who today is winning his 84th cap. He's in some pain there.
They seem to get his leg caught under his body. Bertie Vogts wouldn't want an injury to somebody with that experience so early in this tournament. But his side haven't been that impressive, although certainly the deep cross by Reuter wasn't convincingly dealt with by Peter Kuber, who perhaps isn't the tallest of goalkeepers. I think he's an outstanding shot saver, but perhaps not the greatest on crosses. We shall see. But Kohler looks as if he's going to be able to carry on. He's going to just come to the touchline and I would think pop back in.
Well, they didn't need the stretcher to get him off, did they? And for the moment, the Germans are down to 10. On the far side, players restarted. Nemec for the Czechs sportingly gives the ball back to the Germans, who put it out for the injury. Kohler still receiving attention. Kukar. That was Sukaparek. This is Latal, who plays well up on the right-hand side as a kind of a wing-back. One thing you have to say about the Czechs, they normally reserve their best football for the strongest opposition. They took 4 points off Holland, 4 off Norway in their group, which is how they won it. And yet they also lost to Luxembourg and drew with Malta.
Looks as if they're working on Kohler's knee, but because it got trapped underneath the body, I got the feeling he just twisted it a bit, the ligament, and they're just seeing what sort of movement and whether it's solid enough for him to actually be able to come on and twist and turn.
Certainly disturb the German defensive system. Look at that from Sukaparek. Confident ball as well to Nemec. Now Latal. There's a long discussion going on between Kohler and the medical men. Bertie Vogts has come back to the line to join in.
I think Kohler's taken his captaincy armband off, which is a bad sign, I would have thought, for the German team.
Yes, captain in the absence of Klinsmann, of course. Here's Latar with the throw. Still the discussions going on and still the play going on with the Czechs. This is Honyak inside to Nemec. That's not a bad turn from Kukar.
Made a good start. Strong, wasn't he? Just rode the defender round. Whether it was a shooting opportunity from the corner, the 18-yard box, I don't know. But it was always swinging away from the goal.
Nice turn, though, wasn't it? The Germans, by the way, are going to prepare Marcus Babbel as an alternative to Jürgen Kohler. And Hessler here, just slipped away from Sukuparek. And here comes the change. Bertie Vogts attracting the attention of the referee. Marcus Babbel from Bayern Munich comes on to replace Jürgen Kohler with only about 13 minutes gone.
Yeah, and he's hobbling off, his right knee strapped up. I would have thought just a bit of ligament damage. Hopefully he'll be fit later in the tournament if Germany can get a couple of decent results. At the moment they're not as fluent as they would have hoped.
That's another good ball by Nemetz from the middle of the field to Poborski. They're having a go at them, the Czechs, which I have to say was on the cards. There are no sitters back, the Czech Republic. Nemetz again. This is Nedved, the left back, who found himself in the centre-forward position. And they're going to have to cover a bit now because Reuter has it for Germany, and Stefan Kuntz makes a run into the vacant space that Nedved left. Both teams are playing with what has now become almost a convention called wing-backs, and three central defenders operating around them and behind them. Hessler. Shouldn't make a lot of difference to the Germans in terms of the formation, because Marcus Babbel, as we saw against Nottingham Forest in Europe, is an orthodox marker. This is Sammer.
Very unlike Sammer, isn't it? He had a bit of time there, but seemed to be hurried into his crossfield ball. And at the moment, the Czechs working very hard in midfield to deny the space the Germans would like, just to have their controlled build-up.
Yes, I heard Jürgen Klinsmann saying in an interview in our programme last night, doesn't matter how we win the first game, we've just got to scramble a 1-0 if we can. That was seemed to be the German attitude. And the Czechs are going to make it difficult for them if the first quarter of an hour is any guide. This is Kadlec. Moller in midfield, waiting for others to move forward, which Reuter did. And here's Kuntz, marked by Sukuparek. Really aggressive, confident defender, the number 3, 26 years old, his 32nd cap today.
They started very sharply, intercepting the balls as they're knocked into feet, and then reading any danger that has come up to now.
That was Sammer, that was Hessler. Sammer comes up again. Oh, and Bobic! Great save, Kubar. Zammer's come back for the rebound. Defenders there on hand. And Freddie Bobic nearly giving the Germans the start they wanted. But what a good reaction save by Peter Kubar.
Well, we mentioned he's a good shot saver. And he got up well as well, didn't he? Just to make the second attempt. But that was unlucky, Bobic. Well struck volley.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the way he shaped up for the volley, caught it on the full, but the goalkeeper able to make a flying save. Corner to Germany. Moller's in there. Well, Andy Moller got the touch, but it was Thomas Helmer who gave the Czechs concern. They know about him at set plays. Two of them went towards the number 5, and Moller came in behind him, look, got a free header in.
Well, both of them really. Poor old Babel, the blonde-haired midfielder, was left with both to deal with. Didn't get off the ground, did he? And I thought that should have been on target at least.
Well, anybody watching the Czech goalkeeper will obviously feel that he's out to make an impression. It was a save he would have much enjoyed.
Well, it's also an example of the Germans' play, wasn't it? They've not had the best of the opening 20 minutes. They've not looked as fluent as you would have expected. Then suddenly 2 chances in the space of a minute.
It's a sort of hazy, sultry afternoon now at Old Trafford. And as the game bubbles along, you have the feeling there's quite a lot in store here. It's got a good pace to it. And the Czechs have come with no sort of inferiority complex, have they? Their coach there, Dusan Jurin, 51 years of age, had lots of success at Sparta Prague in club management. This is Babel, the substitute. On to number 17, Ziga. Favorski comes back to challenge him. Moller couldn't get away. Referee just warning Favorski about his untidy tackle there, but Ziga's taking the throw. Here's Bobic. This is Hessler.
Good play by Bobic again there. Just hooked it inside, set up for Hessler, just dragged it, didn't he? From the throw-in, here's Bobic, getting the first touch with the control, little flick inside, takes 3 defenders out of the game, and again just dragged beyond the near post. Good opportunity.
Noticeable as well, Trevor, that not only Zammer but also Helmer takes the chance to come out of that back 3 and make an extra man in midfield from time to time.
And they look totally comfortable when they do that, but it's been a good 5 or 6 minutes now for Germany. They're beginning to assert their authority. That little opening flurry by the Czech side seems to be petering out a little bit.
So with 20 minutes gone at Old Trafford, Group C, Germany 0, Czech Republic 0. That's a foul. Babel, and the card's going to come out. David Ellery shows the yellow card to number 13, Radek Babel, for the wild challenge.
It's not the area you want to pick up a yellow card. And look, you know, Muller's got his back to the goal on the halfway line. He just whips his legs away, and in the current rules, that's going to be a yellow card.
So Babel will have to watch it, and the Germans have a free kick. This is Marcus Babel looking for Kuntz. Muller, Kuntz again. Well, he was trying to get Hessler inside the last defender.
Yeah, Hessler wanted it early. When it didn't come, he checked back out, and of course by then Kuntz was committed to the pass inside the fullback. Another player who plays a key part, I suppose, for Germany is their holding midfielder, number 21, Dieter Iltz, because he's the one who slots into that defensive position once the likes of Helmer or Sammer breaks forward, and you know, he does that holding role, very similar to the way Holland work it.
Yes, he's just in fact doing that now, following Favorski, who's gone down the left. In fact, they have to be quick to get to him. They've got Kukar in the middle. It's too long. In fact, they had Friedek and Kukar in there, and it was a poor cross on the back of a good run by Karol Favorski.
He's quite elusive with his running, but they had plenty of time to get that cross in. Again, I said earlier, he used the outside of his right foot very early in the game. That time he did use his left, but it was way too heavy, and he had 2 or 3 good options in the penalty area.
Yes, he's just been a bit over-anxious with his final ball, hasn't he? Here are the Germans. Oh, it's Muller's got away from Babel. Danger here, and it's Muller again. Well, Kuntz and Bobic were like hungry lions there. They were waiting to pounce in the penalty area, but somebody in the Czech cage scrambled the ball away.
Another reckless challenge by Babel, wasn't it? The blonde-haired 13 who got booked a couple of minutes ago. He tried to dive in for the ball down the line, and that released Muller once he hadn't got any contact on it.
Nemec, Lato. Ciao. Well, Andy Muller was the player that really set this up, but when he got the second chance to shoot, Babel got an interception in, and somehow or other there were enough red shirts to defy him.
Muller perhaps should have hit it early, shouldn't he, to try and turn in the crowded penalty area a second time. Was a little bit arrogant.
Here's Kukar. Header by Bobic, now Latal. Favorski and Kukar still hanging around on the edge of the penalty area, loitering. But nothing came of their intent, and the Czechs now with Nedved clearly fouled by Kuntz. it'll be Sukuparek for the Czech Republic with the free kick. Pavorski's dummy. Pavel. Well, the Czech contingent in the crowd don't like the extreme patience with which the Germans are playing at the back. But these are tournament experts in the white shirts. Here comes Sammer, and when they want to increase the pace, they can, like this. Little flick from Kuntz. Sammer comes again, off Sukuparek, and Babel breaks for the Czechs. Latal. Pavorski, no, won't make it.
Got to counter-attack a bit better than that, having tackled well, because it was a good break from defence by Sammer, right from one end of the pitch to the other.
Moller. Now Helmer. Bobic. Babel finds Pavorski. Cooper's run off sides. Oh, it's a brilliant piece of play. They found the other man, Babel. Intelligent football there from Pavorski. He saw that if he'd passed to Kukar, there would have been a flag. So he waited and just pushed a little ball through to Babel.
Just got a bit outnumbered. Ziege, the left-back, covered extremely well. And the Germans, certainly in the last 10 or 15 minutes, beginning to look the sort of side we were expecting after a fairly indifferent opening quarter of an hour.
Yes, they do have a massive presence about them, don't they? Even without one or two of the more established stars. Here's Helmer. Bobic. Ziege from left back. Made the opening. Ziege! Christian Ziege gives the lead to Germany. 25 minutes gone, and the left wing back takes the attacking option and uses it to good effect. He's got away from Latal here. He turns away from Kadlec as well. A right foot strike, and it beats Kubar down in the corner. I think he got a hand to it.
Yeah, just brushed his fingers, but this is what wing-back play is all about. He's only gone forward twice, received a 1-2 with Bobic. There is a good layup by Bobic, so he could take it in his stride. Came inside the sweeper, Kadlec, and just clipped the ground, and the fingertips of Kubar weren't enough. Great attacking goal, really, from one end again to the other.
That's his third goal in international football on his 20th appearance, Christian Ziege. But they... As the German announcer confirms the goal scorer, here come the Czechs. Babel, Nedved again, he's there! Oh, good save by Kirker. Put up in there, I think. It's a free kick to the Germans. I think you'll just see number 4, Nedved, do exactly what Ziege did, come through from left back, look. He's in there, but his foot was up at the end, the referee decided. Dangerous play was given against Pavel Nedved.
Got a ricochet off a German defender. Could have been a bit kinder and fallen into his stride, but it just went beyond him. And certainly, once again, Kirker came out well. Now here's the goal scorer, Ziege. They call him the new Andy Bremer in Germany. Plays in the same position as that famous international. Indeed, before him, Paul Breitner. This, though, for the moment, is a little bit of a tangle between Helmer. Oh, he's still being held a bit by Latal, and David Eller is right there on the spot. He saw nothing amiss, and it was a good piece of foraging by Helmer. Here's Ziege again. Oh, good play. Dieter Eilts, beaten by Friedek, and then Pavorski. That's Ziege tripping Pavorski. Yellow card for the goal scorer. Well, with the FIFA mandate now, and a referee like David Ellery, he's never ever going to get away with that. That was a completely mistimed tackle. Dvorsky, I think, did make a meal of it afterwards, but it was a yellow card offence. And what a wonderful goal that was from him. And a great ball down the line just after that as well, with Helmer attacking. But his first touch to take it in his stride was great, because he could easily have knocked it into the sweeper. Comes in on his right foot, gets his balance, and there was only one intent, and that's where it ended up.
Now, meantime, Karol Poborski, the player who he fouled, is being taken off on the stretcher. So it's the Czechs now who are temporarily down to 10. And worrying times for Dusan Yurin. His team have gone a goal behind, and it'll be a test of character, but here comes Kukar. I must say, Helmer's getting an awful lot of the ball, striding out of the back position into midfield. Number 5 for Germany. Here's Hessler. Poborski wants to come back on. So I quite agree with the FIFA idea of treating injured players. It does seem to be a lot more sensible for them just to go off, get attention and come back on without holding up the play. Here's Kukar. It took a while to get it right when it first came in, but I think it's a system that's working now. And the German system is working pretty well here. Thomas Helmer's seen plenty of the ball, and after half an hour's play they lead 1-0. Kukar's shown some neat touches. Latal is the player who's made the forward run. He's got Poborski on the far side. The pass didn't find him. Kukar again. Babel. Too short. Hessler. Good tackle. Babel. Now Friedek. Took a heavy one from Sammer. Referee saw it. Let play go. Germans on the attack again. Andris Moller well forward this time. So is Bobic. Stefan Kuntz took a long way round there and lost the ball to Stukaparek, who's found Latal. And the Czechs have got 4 up here, if he can just keep possession and play it on. Good play by the right back, but then Sammer steps in again, and it's suddenly back with Dieter Eils for Germany, and Bobic on the far side calls for it. Flick of the head by Kadlec. Nemec. Kadlec again. Babel. Nemec. Babel, it's opening up a little bit here. Poborski. Well, that's 3 interceptions by the sweeper, Mateusz Sammer, in a matter of a couple of minutes, and this one has set Andy Moller away. Bobic to his right. It's Moller for Germany. He'll go alone, and he'll score. Moller makes it 2-0 Germany in the 32nd minute. And the Czechs are looking at each other absolutely bewildered. He came from the left, came inside, a similar goal to Ziga's really, right down in the bottom corner.
Well, he's come inside the same man as well. Kadlec, who's this sweeper, couldn't get his tackle in. Almost the same position, almost the same fingertip as well. But a great attacking run by the midfielder, running at the heart of the Czech defence. And this is the difference, isn't it, between the two sides. That ability in the attacking third to really go at defenders and score the goals.
While that was happening and they were walking back to the centre, Mateusz Sammer came across for attention, but it's Andy Moller who's getting the attention of the crowd for the second goal. I'm just half wondering whether to ask you about the goalkeeper on those 2 shots, but we'll leave that for a moment. Here's Moller again. Bobic goes. Any chance for the keeper?
Well, I thought the first one was much better in the corner than Muller's. I mean, he's not the tallest, so his reach isn't the great. As you can see, Muller tossing his shoulder one way, coming inside on his favoured right foot. I mean, you should always try and push them to the left. It's a zippy top, but the keeper not getting there on either occasion, and I think it's that lack of width with his height, which means he can't perhaps stretch right to the corners. On both occasions it's to his right side.
He had a good view of it. There was nobody between him and the shot, was there? Or between the player who had the shot and the goalkeeper. Here's Friedek, and now Poborski. They might get one back here. Nedved's unmarked in the centre if Poborski can find him. There's Nedved! and he should have got one back. He was having a stretch of it on the volley, that's true. But they had 3 against 2, the Czechs. The Germans were 1 short here. Here's Poborski, Kukar's in the middle, nearest him. Further over is Nedved, only Helmer in there to block. And Nedved's volley was way over.
The key to that again was Poborski not having a left foot. I mean, he's waited for it to bounce, tried to then get it on his right foot to set it up properly to hit it with the outside of his right foot. My lord, that was happening. The Germans got back, and in the end, it was a poor cross, and it was behind everyone. And Nedved didn't really have a great scoring opportunity. He was stretching and couldn't get it on target.
There's a foul by Bobic on Suki Pari. And the Germans here have, not for the first time in a European Championship match, established their authority in the first 35 minutes. Here's Babel. So well made physically, the German players, aren't they? They've all got that athleticism and the muscular build. I was talking to 1 or 2 of the Northern Ireland players after they played in Belfast, and they were saying somehow or other English players are all different. Short, long, thin, fat, whatever you like to say. But the Germans all have that sort of same muscular tone to them, don't they? And they work very hard, I know, on the stretching and the physical side of their training.
Unfortunately, they've got pretty good touch as well, which means they don't give the ball away. And I think certainly if you compared it with England's performance in the second half, where they were defending on large spells and they gave and squandered possession once they got it. The Germans don't do that, and they wear sides down, and very much like the good old days of the Liverpool team.
Yes, never mind the muscle tone. They've set the tone here, haven't they, with a very dominating 25 minutes or so after a slightly uncertain start. Here's Ziege. And Helmer again is right up there in an attacking position here. Turns inside Kadlec.
Helmer's almost a left-sided midfielder, isn't he? Again, as I said, the 21, Iltz just drops back with Sammer and Babel and makes that third man. But they're feeling so confident at the moment. They think they can definitely get at this Czech defence, and they've proved it, haven't they, up to now?
Yes, they have. This is Moller. It's all right talking about the friendlies, the warm-up matches, even the qualifying games in a way, but it's only when you get to the finals that you see the extent of the true quality of some of these teams, and Germany certainly have it on this evidence. And here's Matthias Sammer, one of the reasons why. Oh, they've got a spare man again. Bobic and Kuntz waiting in the centre. This is Bobic. It's over Kuntz. And the clearance really could have gone anywhere. This is Dieter Eilts. Now Sammer.
There's Iltz, as you see. It was the back man then. He's slotted because Sammer had broken from the back on this occasion. And they're just rotating perfectly at the moment, totally in control.
Maybe because of that feeling himself, the Czech coach has got 2 substitutes warming up. I've spotted Drulak and Berger down on the line. Whether he would make a change this early, I'm not sure, we'll see. But certainly something's got to change if the Czech Republic are not going to be brushed aside here in the opening match in the group. 37 minutes gone, Germany lead 2-0. Here's Woniak, number 15. Oh, it's a poor one. Christian Ziege read that from yards away. And he's got Moller moving up to his right, and he's lost it. Nemec. Latar. Hessler.
Just lack the ideas in that final attacking third, Czech Republic. They build up plays not bad, and then suddenly just the last incisive ball or bit of invention, somebody to go past the defender, but just missing out on that cutting edge.
Yes, they started off, the Czechs, looking adventurous, but after that, the Germans just looked awesome. They're just winning tackles nearly all the time in any part of the field at the moment. And that last one has actually caused Latal some reaction.
combination really of Helmer and Ziege, but it was the determination, wasn't it, of the two German defenders that really just rode Lattel out of it. It's okay to carry on.
Yes, you wouldn't ideally want to be tackled by two Germans at once, would you? Kuntz. Busy on the right-hand side, but trying to find Stefan Reuter coming forward. Kuntz again. Sheer persistence forces the corner. Stefan Kuntz, who now plays his club football in Turkey with Besiktas.
Let's see if the Czech Republic team defend a little bit better than they did on one of the previous corners.
Well, I'm just watching Thomas Helmer go forward because he's dangerous at these. They've got Marcus Babbel in there as well, number 14. A big Bayern Munich presence. And Andy Moller goes to join them now. And the free kick is given for pushing. Well, my own view on this is that Kubar didn't have a bad view of the shot, but he didn't get his right hand there.
I still don't think he's got the greatest of reach. Saw him on an earlier cross where he struggled a little bit. Sure there'll be a few interested managers having seen those two goals go in.
There was some discussion about the Czech goalkeeping position. I've mentioned Cerny Czech already, but Ludek Miklosko was actually invited to be the third goalkeeper. He politely declined, not thinking he would play, the West Ham man. That was Ajax. 5 minutes to go in the first half at Old Trafford in the opening match in Group C of Euro 96. Germany, twice winners and twice runners-up in recent times, lead the Czech Republic by 2-0. That was Bobic. Way back in that final I mentioned in 1976, it was the Czechs who went 2-up and the Germans forced a 2-2 draw, only to lose on penalties. So the Czechs will need to reverse that today to get anything out of this. Bobic, it doesn't look very likely at the moment. Here's the cross, Kuntz is in there. Number 10, Hessler. Oh, good skill and a good cross. Sukuparek and Honyak get the ball away. How long for, though? Offside.
That half-time whistle can't come quick enough, I wouldn't have thought, for the Czech Republic side. I mean, the Germans are toying with them. Hessler in midfield with Moller totally in control, and breaker from the back, Sammer and Helmer in particular, are just outnumbering the Czech side. And he looked pretty pained, the old Czech manager, didn't he, at the start? He doesn't look as if his expression's got any worse, but I'm sure inside it has.
It's a late one by Kukar on Dieter Eilts. David Eller is having a word with Kukar. Three minutes left in the first half. Sukuparek with Kuntz. Stefan Reuter, who's one of the most experienced players in the squad, 54th cap. Hessler, who's played even more times. Oh, they've combined well. Two waiting in the centre for Reuter's cross. One of them is Kuntz, it's a bit long for him. Lattal. Sukuparek. Nemec. Oh, the tackle's been declared good. Here's Ziege. Well, it was Dieter Eilts' tackle on Yuri Nemec that won the ball for Germany. The Czechs looking around. Kadlec is coming up to the referee saying, well, what do you have to do to get a free kick here? But Ziege was allowed to go on, and here's the tackle.
Well, Iltz is trying to shield the ball. I don't think he got a touch on the ball, and I do think it was a foul, and even the player suggested that. And then, of course, Ziege picked it up, tried to whip it round with his right foot. But again, the anchor man in midfield, Iltz, and the left attacking wing-back, Ziege, were the two attacking players. I mean, that is just the confidence that the side is playing at the moment. They've still got Klinsmann in reserve. And of the two strikers, I would have said Bobic has probably done a bit better than Kuntz.
Well, Yuri Nemec, who plays in Germany, being carried off. I actually felt rather like David Ellery when I saw it again, that maybe Iltz made a legitimate attempt to get to the ball there, even though the foot finally made contact with the ankle. But anyway, it's going to be a goal kick, and we're coming up to half-time. Just over a minute, in fact. That was a header by Babel, who came on for Kohler early in the game. Expected the Germans to make some sort of statement off the back of being classed as favourites, and they've certainly made it in this first half. Nemec has just come back on the pitch with the referee's approval. The Czechs are back to 11 now. A German has gone down far side, but it's Bobic, and on the ball it's Hessler. Oh, and here's Stefan Kuntz. Lattar's just jumping at Helmer there, not for the ball. Free kick.
Good bit of previous skill again by Hessler. He and Muller have totally controlled that midfield area, and their invention and their willingness to run at defenders has been too much for the Czech side. Experienced player, always seems to play well in the major tournaments, more often down the right-hand flank, although he has a more of a roving role in this opening 45 minutes.
Yes, we've said before, haven't we, that the Germans are well schooled in how to play these competitions. There's that almighty shock in New York 2 years ago at the hands of Bulgaria. They'll probably be guarding against that happening again, and it certainly hasn't looked that way today. Stoppage time at the end of the first half. They have a 2-0 lead, and they also have the run of the game. Moller, Kuntz, Babel, Nemec. Now then, Poborski's made a forward run. Nemec has held on to the ball a bit longer. He's seen a better ball perhaps on the left. That's Niedved going down there, cut off by Reuter. Goalkeeper took a bit of a chance, but as everything else is coming off for Germany, why not? This is Moller. He's got good pace when he attacks opponents in midfield. And he was somewhat untidily dealt with there by Niedved, who gets a yellow card. Number 4 of the Czech Republic is cautioned.
Yeah, unlucky. I think it was more clumsy. Well, he just trod on his foot, but Moller rode it round and shake of the head, and I have a certain sympathy there.
Well, I suppose they'll need a bit of sympathy with their half-time tea. Actually, they've brought their own food and drinks to their hotel, the Czechs, up at Preston. And it'll be small comfort for them in the dressing room as the whistle goes for the end of the first half. Germany have shown a stinging authority here. Christian Ziege with the first goal. And then a similar one coming up from Andy Moller. And as they go off, talking among themselves, the Germans in a strong position, because in that first half the Czechs were chastened and the Germans and their supporters were jubilant.
Well, we can see why they're favourites, can't we? We're talking efficiency, aren't we?
Oh, well, the first 20 minutes I thought they were chronic. I thought there was only one team in the Czech Republic. But the Germans never change. You know, you'd expect, because they're playing so badly, they'll change something. But they're patient, they're resilient, they're strong, they're very good in the ball. You wouldn't go and pay to watch any of them individually, or even collectively, but they don't have to get the job done.
Yeah. Now, you thought that the Czechs had to take the game to Germany, but they were trying to do it early on.
They tried to do it, but then they gave him too much space. I think the vital moment was also that number 13, Radic, he made a foul on Müller. in midfield was unnecessary. And then he couldn't mark him anymore. And then you give them, and they give Müller too much space, and he scored also a goal. But I think the Germans just play the game like Alan said. You know, they have the patience, they wait for you to come out, and then they have enough quality on that particular moment to score a goal.
What can England learn from their method, from the German method, do you think?
I think what they can learn is what happened when Sommer comes in. The first time he went into midfield, and it was almost a goal. It was the first chance they had. But what happened is that he doesn't run backwards, you know.
When he goes on a run forward, he doesn't
no, he just stays in midfield, and the midfield player takes his place.
Yeah.
So the shape is always the same. You don't see players run around. Everybody is just, you know, you don't mess around with your energy, and so that's very important.
They're all adaptable. They're all adaptable.
They switch positions, don't they?
All adaptable. Plus, they're all good in the ball. They're all good technically. They can pass it. They can come into the middle of the park and play. 3 or 4 of them. Very, very good.
Yeah. Well, certainly England can learn from that performance, I would have thought. Let's have another view now on England's rather dismal start yesterday. Ray Stubbs is talking with Brian Robson.
It's been a day of rest for the England players, but not for Terry Venables' coaching team.
Right.
Brian Robson was at Ellen Road to see Spain play Bulgaria. As the watchful eyes of a police helicopter flew overhead, one of the England coach's most trusted lieutenants arrived to cast an eye over possible future opponents, it's hoped. The short Switzerland's penalty frustrated a nation and a dressing room yesterday, but only taking a point hasn't affected English confidence for Euro 96.
Well, we were disappointed with our second half performance. You know, at this level, you've got to be able to keep the ball, and we didn't do that in the second half. The passing was poor, and that's why we allowed Switzerland right back into the game. But it's a new experience for, well, I think it was 7 players in our team, and it's the first time they've played in a major competition. And I thought for 45 minutes they did very well, but it's not the end of the world. You know, we didn't get beat. And the main thing is not to get beat in your first game. So we're still in there with a good shot.
Do you think there's a tendency for those of us outside a tight-knit squad to panic slightly in this situation?
Well, I've seen it so many times before. I mean, in 1982, everything went really well for us. We won the first 3 games of the group. But in 1990, you just look back to that. The lads got to the semi-final, and you know, we drew our first 2 games. So that's the way this goes. You know, there's no easy games at this level. The one thing we are looking forward to is the Scotland game now, and hopefully we can beat them.
That now takes on added significance, I'm sure you'd agree. It is like a final in itself here in the British Isles.
Well, it is, but you know, that's not the last game. I mean, everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion that Holland are going to win the group. Why should Holland come to Wembley and beat us at Wembley? You know, why can't we win that game?
So the message to England fans, don't be too concerned?
Don't panic. No. I mean, we've all got to enjoy this. I mean, it's a great stage. We'd sooner be here than not be here. You know, in the final stages of the World Cup or the European Championships, it's just great to be part of it, and we've got to enjoy it.
Finally, what will you say to the players when you get them back together?
I don't know what I'll say. I know what the boss will say. We've just got to improve, haven't we, on the performance the other day. But the lads know they were very disappointed after the game because they knew in the second half they'd let themselves down. But like I say, it was a learning process for a lot of them in the squad. You know, and I'm sure they'll grow by that.
Well, it's a time for cool heads, of course. Now, Scotland get underway tomorrow against Holland. Latest news from the Scotland camp comes from Hazel Irvine.
23 hours to go, and Scottish fans are arriving at Birmingham campsites ahead of the game. And so too are the Dutch supporters. Just as in Sweden 4 years ago, both sets of fans are happily living together despite their separate allegiances. The Dutch reckon they're on their way to the final, but a more modest optimism is growing in the Scottish ranks too.
A couple of months ago, we thought we'd no chance, you know, but with all the problems the Swiss and the Dutch and now the English have been having, you know, we really feel we've got a chance, even though we're still underdogs.
We can only get better, and we will. I think we will. A draw against Holland and we'll beat England.
Concentrating the minds of Craig Brown and assistant Alec Miller is a striking dilemma. Who should they pick in the face of a Scotland goal drought? Will it be Ali McCoist? Or John Spencer of Chelsea? Or Blackburn's Kevin Gallagher? Almost certain to start, though, is former Chelsea and Spurs striker Gordon Durie, who scored 23 goals for Rangers this season. He's been off the international scene for 2 years and thought his Scotland days were over, but a hat-trick in the Scottish Cup final sealed his return.
It's been 2 years. Ironically, the last game I played was against the Dutch over in Utrecht, so it's obviously great to be back involved again. There was always times in my mind where I thought, well, that's it, 27 caps, no more. So I'm just delighted to get the chance again to be involved, and if I get any part of the 3 games, I'll be delighted.
McAllister, now Booth, clear side of goal for Scott Booth.
The Scotland boss has recently experimented with a Gordon Durie-Scott Booth combination in attack. The young Aberdeen frontman was joint top scorer during the qualifying campaign, but knows the competition for a starting place at Euro 96 will be keen.
It's all up in the air because you've got McCoist as well, as you said, you've got Gallagher, you've even got Ian Jessic can push forward as well.
John Spencer too.
And John Spencer's doing so well, so I mean there's quite a lot of competition, although that they say that we're not scoring that many goals, so I can't see that that's going to last very long.
I would think that Mr McCoist would do anything to get into this team. You better watch your legs, as they say.
Well, I know, but he better watch his legs as well.
Craig Brown has informed the 11 players who will start against Holland, but at the squad's final training session at Villa Park this afternoon, everyone kept his own counsel on the matter. The only certainty is that one member of the team will have aged considerably overnight before the game, but not through worry. Rangers midfielder Stuart McCall celebrates his 32nd birthday tomorrow. What would be the ideal birthday present for you, though?
Oh, for me to get a hat-trick and win 3-0, but no, just a Scotland victory. The boys have prepared magnificently, they're in a good frame of mind. You know, 4:30 tomorrow, the talking's got to stop and we've got to produce it on the park. But we're in a confident mood and looking forward to it.
First test for them tomorrow, of course. Now here at Old Trafford, it's Germany 2, the Czech Republic 0. This boy Ziege looks a good player.
Did well in the first half, scored an excellent goal, and he's defended well as well. It was good play on the left-hand side. A nice touch from Bobic. He comes inside. I thought he did really well to keep his balance there. It's a good shot. I think a class keeper would have saved that.
You think the goalkeeper should have got that?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Because, you know, he's already in that corner a little bit, you know, he must be in that corner. And he must be also a little bit more in front, I think. He was too much on his line, but I'm not the goalkeeper.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the layoff's good.
Oh, yeah.
Ziege does well to keep his balance here. You might say they should have closed them down a bit quicker, but not a powerful shot, Des. I honestly think a good keeper would have saved that.
Do you think the Germans had a look at him and thought he doesn't like diving to his right? Because
he scored a second goal.
Went in the same spot.
Exactly the same spot.
I wouldn't put it past them. I bet they've had a look at studied him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a look at that
well,
second goal.
Sammer in the middle of the park shows he can not only play, but he can tackle as well. Look at that for a tackle. Magnificent. And eventually comes to Moller, who goes on a break. Again, I think that Cadillac should take him down the line here, but he brings him inside. Identical position. I think, again, a class keeper would have saved that.
Well, he's fairly highly touted. I think John was saying earlier that he might be going to Scotland, but perhaps I'll withdraw that statement. Yeah. Goalkeeper to blame again, Ruud, do you think there? Or, I don't know.
No,
I think it was a tough one.
It was a good strike.
Yeah.
I think only here the defender, you know, he looks at the ball. And that is stupid. You must look at him, you know, and make maybe a technical foul.
I think he's got to take him down the line. He's weaker in his left foot. If he takes him down the line, you know, take him down the channel.
Yeah.
But he's
he
brought
let
him
him in beautifully, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jocking him the wrong way. So, yeah.
Says, I'll take you on your good foot and I'll let you hit it.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't half hit it. But honestly, I think the keeper should have got at least one.
What about the Czechs? I mean, they did start rather well. They just got bombed, didn't they, really?
They started off positively, and Kuka has a good turn here. Takes into the goal. I think it's a great shot, and it just goes wide.
It's important, you know, to finish well. We saw that also yesterday. You know, you must play on 90 minutes. You don't play only on the beginning. You have to play 90 minutes. It's not a coincidence that last season Cantona made a lot of goals in the last 15 minutes of the game. And that's where your opponent is, the other team is tired. And then you must be, you know, clever on that moment. Yeah. So you must you know, divide your strength and your energy during that game.
I bet the Czech Republic cannot believe what happened to them. I mean, they started positively. For some reason, they let the Germans have it, and they got into a little bit of pattern, a little bit of movement, and then they ended up going in 2-0 down.
They had one other chance, didn't they?
I thought it was a good chance. I thought it was a great chance. Baborski gets in the wide in the lane. I think Helmer does well here because he just withdraws away, lets the challenge come in. By the time he gets to the back post, Nedved, it was a difficult opportunity there. Yeah. I think Baborski should have done better here.
He had the first chance here, he has to give it to him. And he hesitated.
He had a chance of a shot himself, didn't he?
No, it was difficult to shoot, but he had to give it in the middle, you know. It was a striker, was waiting for this pass and he didn't give it.
But you look at the Germans defensively, they're very strong. Every one of them can put their foot in, they can all play, they're all big and strong, very resilient.
Yeah, they give, you know, because they're so confident, they give the strikers and the midfield players the chance to take position, you know, to choose position, the right position.
Yeah.
If they're confident on the ball, you know, they can wait till the right moment.
Just another word about Sammer. I mean, you picked him out at the start, and he hasn't disappointed us, has he? I mean, he has played rather well.
The first opportunity, the first chance the Germans has is because of him. Comes in midfield, yeah, good run. Also too much space here also in midfield, it's incredible. This is good.
Just broke down there, but as you say, he didn't get up and dash back like the centre halves tend to do in England.
But another thing about them all being good in the ball.
No. It was not necessary the whole game.
Yeah, but when everybody's good in the ball, it's very difficult for the opposition to close you down quickly, because if there's one that is bad in the ball, they just leave him with. If you're bad in the ball, I'm playing against you, you're bad in the ball, I just say, right, let him up.
I am bad on the ball.
Yeah, I know that, that's why I've mentioned you.
Yeah.
But the Germans are all good technically, all very good in the ball.
Right. But the thing is, you know, if you let them play, you know, you're going to get this. You must not allow them to play. And,
they're playing. They're playing.
You have
to be very interested to see what
but you have to press them on their defenders. You have to press the midfield. The most important thing is the midfield and the defenders. If you can put a block there early on already, then the goalkeeper has to kick it. Then you fight the battle is on midfield. Yeah. If you win that battle there, then you have the chance. If you let them, you know, easily construct their attack, you know, you're going to lose it.
Be interested to see how the Czechs play in the second half.
It will be, absolutely. Just a reminder for you, incidentally, we've got Denmark against Portugal coming up virtually straight after this. We're testing you today, aren't we? Back to Trevor and John for the second half. The Germans lead 2-0.
And partly because of that, the Czechs have made 2 substitutions at half-time. Paborski has gone, and in his place up front will come Radek Drulak. And also on in the middle of the field is Patrick Berger, who I mentioned earlier. He's replaced Martin Friedeck. And Berger, who's going to wow a few of the ladies, I think, is the good-looking lad from the Bundesliga. He plays for Borussia Dortmund, where he's just won a championship medal, so he'll know all about the opposition here. And he's come on in central midfield. Drulak, the striker who's come on, is 34 years old and the leading scorer in Czech domestic football this season. He's up front now with Kukar. So they've made 2 of their 3 permitted substitutions at the start of the second half. The Germans, of course, made 1 earlier when Babel came on for Kohler, and the news of Jürgen Kohler is that he has damaged knee ligaments. Germany now playing left to right, and there's the first foul of the second half. And here's Drulak, still a dangerous customer up front at the age of 34. And we'll see whether Berger can orchestrate the Czech midfield, because it was really there towards the end of the first half that Andy Moller and company had assumed control.
Probably need Gerhard Berger in the midfield, actually, but I mean, he certainly got a bit more involved than the number 11 Friedeck, who hardly had a touch with his spiky hair, and I'm not surprised to see him come off. Pavorski did quite well opening 15-20 minutes and then did fade, so let's see how Drulak can do.
Here's Nemec. Nedved's well forward too. On the far side, Latal. Here comes Babel. Czechs have got plenty of players forward here. Still Latal. Well, I wouldn't have thought David Ellery will fall for that. Here's Nemec. Oh, bad first contribution, as the thumbs up indicates, was close to being a telling one.
Well, he's done more in that minute than the colleague who replaced it in the whole of the first half. Did good ball in first of all. He continued his run, and there he is running into stride. He's just got ahead of Sammer, goes through Sammer's legs and just crept past the far post.
What amazes me about them not picking Berger from the start is that he was their top goal scorer, and this was from midfield. In the qualifying competition, he scored 6 goals, and indeed his record before today, 8 in 15 internationals. So with a strike rate like that from midfield, you really would have thought he'd have played from the start. But Dusan Yurin had other ideas and then found himself 2 down.
Yeah, it doesn't look any happier despite his half-time team talk. I'm sure he's given him a bit of a roasting. But Berger did very well. Good run from deep, and I'm sure we'll see Didier Reitz pick him up as the anchor man in midfield if he's going to keep making those forward runs.
That's a tackle from behind. It's got to be a free kick. Dieter Arts, the man you were talking about, on Radek Latal. And the Czechs have, well, forgive the pun, but they've started the second half bouncing a bit.
Well, it's an understatement to say they need to get a goal in the opening 10 minutes of this second half if they are going to revive their hopes.
They're certainly packing the penalty area here. Sukuparek is forward, Babel's in there. But the Germans so good at defending those balls on. That was Christian Ziege. Now then, Reuter. This is Moller. Teams in this group are Italy and Russia, who meet at Anfield in 2 days' time. And if the Czechs aren't going to spring a surprise, I just have a feeling the Russians might.
I wouldn't argue with that. I think they're a very talented side. A lot depends on that first game. If they can get a good result against Italy, then they could be very much in the mood.
Those 2 teams also have to play these 2 as the group develops. 2 teams from each group through to the quarterfinals. I'm sure you're familiar with the format of the competition by now. And Euro '96, the first of these championships to include 16 teams. Here's Kukar. Nedved joining in. Kukar did well. He's got Drulak to his left here, number 10. They need somebody in the box at the moment, the Czech Republic. And anyway, Drulak's cross won't reach whoever did get there, which was Latal on the far side. Hessler gets caught in possession by Drulak. He's got Kukar waiting in the centre here. Oh, Kurtka with a flying save. And then Herniak gets caught by a tackle by Kuntz. The referee lets play go on. And here's Andy Muller. Kuntz is making ground in the centre if he needs to cross it. Oh, the defender slipped. It's still Muller. Something of an escape there for the Czech Republic. Free kick now to them. Foul by Hessler.
Kuntz joined Muller. He was the only option in there, but Muller decided to go alone. But it just does show how vulnerable the Czech Republic team are just on the counter-attack. Again, Muller finding a lot of space down this right flank.
This is Nemec. And again. Moral fibre is the phrase that occurs to me at the moment. Something the Germans have always had. Something which we're going to see whether the Czechs possess, because they're going to need it to find any route back down what's become for them a rather hazardous road since that opening quarter of an hour. This is a foul. The linesman's flagging. Happened right in front of him, actually. Stefan Kuntz, who's not afraid to put the foot in. And the recipient there was the number 15, Michael Horniak. And the yellow card is shown to Kuntz for that challenge.
Again, an unnecessary challenge. You're 2-0 up. It's right in the Czech half, deep defending. All he's got to do, Kuntz, is just close them down, and not the sort of situation where you should be picking up a yellow card. Perhaps it's just his enthusiasm, knowing that he's competing with Bobic for that striker position, perhaps alongside Klinsmann.
Well, Kuntz has to be careful now. He's just been cautioned and he's pulled the shirt of Cadlet's and then argued with the linesman. And he could be treading a dangerous line with David Ellery. Next time, you're off.
Might also be the signal, perhaps, for Olivier Bierhoff to come on and have a run as a second striker, because Kuntz, certainly you don't want an additional card. You're 2-0 up, and Bertie Vogts might think, I'll give him a breather.
And also then, in the next few seconds, Pavel Nedved, the Czech number 4, committed another dangerous tackle, and it was on Reuter, and he's been booked as well, so that was another one where he's got to be very careful. Anyway, Horniak is back on the pitch, and here's Bobic. Now Latal, who's a good player on the ball, but when you're up against Ziege, life can become a bit complicated. Oh, he did well. Drulak tries to get on the end of it. Now Moller. This is Bobic. Gets a free kick. Foul by Berger. Germany pushing 2 players forward for this, Babel and Helmer. And it'll be a question of height in there. Torpedo type attempt to get on the end of the free kick. He's damaged himself down by the goal, but here's Hessler. Now, does the referee stop the game, or well, it won't matter, the ball's gone out, but he was lying right by the post on the field of play.
Great free kick by Muller as well to dissect the Czech defence, and just too fast and too good perhaps for Helmer. There it is, whipping its way towards the goal, and he just throws himself, can't quite get the power and get it on target.
He gets the goal side of his marker Babel here, doesn't he? And he's onside too. He times the run at the right moment.
Not too sure what the goalkeeper was doing there either on the goal line, a bit reluctant to come off. Up to now, he's probably not scoring high marks from any manager who's thinking about going in on transfer for him.
There's the flick on from Bobic, and Kuntz came in behind him. It's a corner. The two of them combining well there, and the Germans appear to be back in the ascendancy. It's going to be taken by Hessler. Helmer wants to get back on in time to be on the end of it if he can. He's on the pitch now, number 5. Oh, good header and against the post. Christian Ziege, and somehow or other the Czechs get away with a real escape.
But their marking at corner kicks is dreadful. I mean, there are a number of free headers now the Germans have had. Ziege nearly collecting his second goal, very unlucky.
Well, Hessler swings them in with such pace, doesn't he? The delivery is excellent, whether it's short or long, and this is heavy armoury for the Czechs to have to deal with, and offside surely there, Freddy Bobic.
This is the chance. I mean, I know you talk about the pace of the corner, but look, that is a free header. There is no excuse for that, and no one even making the remotest of challenges.
This was Sukuparek, and now it's Nemec. Oh, that's attempting to find Trulak, but Babel is there. And inside Old Trafford, there's plenty of Babel, I can tell you that. The crowd have made this quite an occasion. This is Nedved. Dieter Eilts breaks it up. And off on another run goes Andy Muller. He's driving through the midfield, almost unopposed. Covered 40 yards there. Dieter Eilts is up. Matthias Sammer, in fact, got on the end of it in the end. The sweeper, he was up there too. So two of them breaking from the back. Muller covered so much ground, and Sammer came up to his left to be the last man.
Well, that was typical play, wasn't it? The defender running there. This here is certainly Lattel now who's coming with it, and Muller just a little tug there, but it was Muller's break and Sammer overlapping. Good play also by Kuntz and Bobic, who took the other defenders away, and Sammer perhaps will be a bit frustrated that he didn't hit a firmer shot.
Here's Berger, a lot of responsibility on his shoulders now. He's found Nemec, who also plays in the Bundesliga. They've got to try and match the men that they oppose week by week, but here's a foul, a yellow card for Marcus Babel for the challenge on Pavel Kukar.
Well, that is the classic tackle from behind. David Ellery pouncing on that immediately. Again, it was an unnecessary booking, I think, with Babel. All he's got to do is hold off, and 2-0 up. You don't want to be picking up yellow cards in this sort of fixture when you're coasting.
Well, 5 players have had a yellow card here today so far. This is taken by Nedved, and it's swung away from goal and away from his colleagues as well.
A slight bit of contrast in the quality of the crossing.
Also, for pulling the defender back in that previous incident, Andy Muller got a yellow card, so that makes 6 by my reckoning. It's getting quite difficult in these matches to keep up with all the cautions, because there are going to be 1 or 2 players not very far into this competition who are going to be missing matches unless they're careful. This is Hessler. In fact, 4 of the players cautioned today are Germans, which just bears out the point you were making. This is Reuter with the throw. Now Babel. Sammer. Eilts. Oh, that's Berger again. That's hands up. This time no card. Which doesn't please the German supporters very much, or Bertie Vogts, who's seen 4 of his men cautioned for rather similar offences, I would say.
Yes, I think the consistency factor was something he wasn't happy about there.
Hassler. It came off Babel. He's got a lot on his mind, Bertie Vogts. Each one of his predecessors won a major trophy. Either the World Cup or the European Championship achieved in the reign of the 4 previous German managers. And he'd dearly love to add his name to that list, and his team have a free kick here against Horniak. And it could be good territory this for Ziege or maybe Hessler. Hessler places the ball. Sam is now walking forward as well. It's Hessler off the wall. Germany's third match in this group is against Italy. They wouldn't want qualification to hinge on that, ideally, so anything they can do in this game, as well as winning it, even improving their goal difference, would help. But the Czechs may have a little to say before that becomes an issue, and here's a foul by number 21, Dieter Eilts.
David Ellery got over to his linesman just to get clarification on exactly what happened.
That's why I was pausing, Trevor. He went across to speak to the linesman before he decided whether to take any action here. Dieter Eilts is the offender anyway, 21. Meantime, there's going to be a substitution made by Germany. Waiting to come on is number 19, Thomas Strunz from Bayern Munich. But first, the Czechs have a free kick. Drulak's in there. Comes out to Nedved. And still the left-back has it. Needs support, but he will get a throw. Babel. Quite a delay in terms of getting Strunz on here. I don't think the Germans want to make the substitution any great hurry. They've had a couple of throw-in opportunities.
I think it's while they're defending, they don't want to do it in a defensive situation.
As thorough as ever in their thinking. Uh-oh, here's Berger. Well, you'd have thought he would have driven that across the goal, wouldn't you, really?
It didn't need the extra touch there. Once he had the extra touch, he was closed down, but it does now that they've got the goal kick, give them the chance for Strunz to come on.
Freddy Bobic had a long look to see whether his was the number shown, and indeed it was. So after that stinging volley early on, which was turned over in spectacular fashion by the goalkeeper, he didn't really get too many scoring chances, Bobic, to emphasise his claims. Thomas Strunz, who when I've seen him, has played more in a midfield role. So with the game very much in their keeping, the Germans may just be tightening up a bit and leaving Stefan Kuntz on his own up there.
Yeah, I think they'll allow Muller more freedom to push forward almost as the second striker, but definitely Strunz will play in midfield.
So now, just to test out the commentator, we've got Kuntz and Strunz. Good to see that new North Stand at Old Trafford with the top tier being occupied today. Here's Kuntz. Quite a spectacular sight now, isn't it? Hessler. Now Reuter. Well, if lesson number one is don't give the ball away, then you can often get some education by watching the Germans. Here's Hessler, who promptly does exactly that. Drulak. Babel. Berger. Kukar. But it's also there that the Germans have been strong. They've won so many, what I would call, half tackles or interceptions in the middle area of the field today. This is Nemetz. And they're at the sort of tackles as well that cut out the danger at source, aren't they?
They have looked very solid, apart from the opening 15 minutes when the Czech Republic had one or two little glimmers, but they definitely now look as if they're settling for the 2-0.
Oh, Babel lost the ball there in a dangerous position from his angle. This is Moller. Kuntz has made a run to the right, but they were trying to stay onside. And indeed, Kadlec has got the yellow card. Another booking.
Must have been deliberate handball as Muller tried to play the ball through, I think.
KGF parked in the south tunnel. Please remove their vehicle immediately. N426 KGF, please remove your vehicle immediately. Thank you.
Somebody parked their car in the wrong place was the reason for that announcement. Oh, yellow card again here. Somebody says, I think it may be Drulak who spoke to the referee right in front of him as he was about to take the free kick. And we have another caution. Number 10, Radek Drulak. Well, that's 8 yellow cards, I make it now, that David Ellery has handed out. 4 to the German team and 4 to Czech players. This is Reuter. And now it's Sammer. That's a push on the edge of the area by Sukuparek, and it'll give Germany a free kick in a central position. Any ideas on this one?
Well, I think they're all fighting over it at the moment, aren't they? Ziege probably can use both feet. Muller with his right foot probably is due one because Sammer has struck one already. So it's perhaps Muller I'll go for.
Claiming that the player isn't 10 yards away there, the Germans at the moment. In fact, it's been played wide to Stefan Reuter. A variation on the theme. Oh, and here on the touchline, Stefan Reuter has left Nemec on the ground. And out comes the card again from David Ellery. That was a late tackle when the ball had gone. Well, is it 9? I make it 9, Trevor.
Well, my arithmetic was a little bit rusty, but I think you're about right. Reuter, that was the frustration, because he got the free kick out. Wide was a pretty dreadful near post cross, which was cut out. He chased back and then slid in recklessly and picked up a yellow card. I must say, looking at the 3 matches to date, you've got to say that tactically, managers and coaches are going to have to think about this yellow card situation, because Germany, in a game that hasn't been over robust, have picked up 5 yellow cards. And you know, if you then got 2 other qualifying games, you wouldn't want them to go into the quarterfinals without 2 or 3 key players. And people like, you know, Ziege and Moller have picked up yellow cards in a game that they shouldn't have done.
Yes, there's food for thought there, certainly. Drulak, one of the players who has been booked. But the match position remains unchanged. Germany still have the 2-0 lead that they built up in the first 32 minutes. And the Czechs not really doing enough to suggest they can alter things that radically. Minutes left, and Republic of Czechoslovakia have got to pull something out of the fire here that we've seen no sign of so far. Germans have that almost arrogant control at the back. That was Eilts. Nedved. The Germans thought they were coasting 1-0, didn't they, against Bulgaria in New York, and something unexpected happened. Hessler. What's also changed in the European Championship in the last few years, Trevor, is the 3 points for a win, of course, which makes life in the groups rather different. It didn't seem so bad originally if you drew, but now there's a 2-point difference between the draw and the win.
Well, you could have got through with 3 draws in the past, but now with that 3 points for the win, and it's good. Perhaps at least we're going to get our first victory for one side or other after 2 draws. But that 3 points is crucial, really, because it does put the Germans in a very strong position.
Some close football there by the Czechs. It's too close, really. This is Stefan Kuntz up against Sukuparek. He's a busy, bustling sort of striker, is Kuntz. He doesn't let defenders rest for too long. That was Sammer. And Sukuparek read that well. Now, can he release one of the men up front? Here's Niedved. There are 3 of them waiting indeed. There's a break on the right-hand side by Babel now. This is Berger. And to Babel it goes. Niedved. A deflection on that. And it's going to be a corner.
I think the neutrals in the crowd trying to egg on the Czech Republic to get just that 1 goal back, and then we could have a nervous little spell. But at the moment, you just feel they haven't got quite that cutting edge.
Well, we'll see from the corner. Sukuparek has made his way forward. Horniak has come up behind him. Drulak makes an early run. Well, I don't know quite whether Moller meant that. If he did, it was an excellent header. Drulak, who was fouled by Babel. The UEFA president Lennart Johansson is here today, and there's no question that UEFA and FIFA want to see the referees adopting this hardline policy, and David Ellery has certainly done that. Berger takes the free kick. Oh, the header was by Horniak. Not a bad effort at all. And here's Reuter. And the sweeper, Matthias Sammer, comes out again. It's a real easy, smooth interchange between him and Dieter Eils, the way they slot into each other's position. Offside, Hessler. Now then, Horniak coming in, number 15, but it was safely gathered by Andreas Köpke, who hasn't been over troubled.
Yeah, good positioning by Köpke, because either side of him he might have had problems, but it was a good firm header, but just directly at him.
Kukar. Berger, Niedved. Spirited play by the left-sided defender Niedved. I think he's probably been the Czech Republic's best player today. Eils was in his way there at the end, but the number 4 has had something to offer. He needs to think about defending now, though, because here's Reuter. Struntz. Reuter again. Berger. Oh, that's a good turn. A touch of class in midfield from Berger. Now then, what can they make of it? Nemetz. Oops. Well, now then, that's going to be punished. It's Thomas Hessler who gets the latest yellow card. I think we've reached double figures. 10 yellow cards. 6 Germans and 4 Czechs.
Whenever there's any sliding tackle or whatsoever and they don't make an obvious contact with the ball, it's been a yellow card, hasn't it?
Horniak gets the header in. Now Moller, who's always available to take the pass out of defence and move through midfield and convert it into an attack. And Christian Ziege, look how flexible the formation is. The left back now on the right wing. Struntz. And it's all movement with a purpose. Here comes the sweeper, Sammer. Hessler out on the far side. This is Kuntz. They really stretch the Czechs, don't they, from one side of the pitch to the other.
Yes, the last 20 minutes or so they've been in a bit of a lower gear because they brought on the extra midfielder Struntz, and I'm not too concerned about looking for a third or a fourth goal. 2-0 is quite adequate as far as they're concerned, and they've really just tightened up the game and not allowed the Czech Republic that vital goal that might have just given them that little glimmer of hope. But it's been a very efficient performance.
Yes, lots to admire, I think, as a spectacle. As for the neutrals, of course, it would have been better had the Czechs managed to get back into the game at some stage. There may still be time for that. But so far, they haven't detected a German weakness. Sukuparek. Can they do so now with Kukar? Oh, he was checked there, surely. He was surely fouled as he tried to get away. David Ellery probably played the advantage. And I think next season referees will be allowed to think again about that in the split second that follows. But Bertie Vogt's team were a bit fortunate there. And the Czechs only get a corner out of it, which Berger will take. And Horniak is continuing the target for these. Corner again. We'll wait for this corner before we develop what happened a moment ago. Babel coming in, so is Horniak. Oof, good solid punch by Kirpke there. Not a bad spell this for the Czechs.
I think with better support, the number 9 Kuka will be a very good player, but he has been quite isolated from that opening 20 minutes. Even just now, though, when he turned, just lost his balance a little bit. I think, as you're quite right, David Ellery playing the advantage. But with better players around him, he would be more threatening.
My only thought about that was when Kuka first got the ball, somebody put their foot out to try and trip him, and I reckon it might have been one of the Germans who had a yellow card. If it was, we could have had a sending off had he not kept his balance. Here's Nedved. Good tackle by Struntz. Now it's Moller, and now Helmer joins the attack again. 4 Germans up. Still Helmer. Moller. Moller still. Good save by Kuba. Kuntz was waiting in the middle, absolutely unmarked here. Moller got past the last defender, but Kuba shut the space down. Corner. Marcus Babbel up on the near post. Ziege comes up into a deeper position. Helmer's also there. That was Struntz volleying it back. This was the moment when Berger put Kukar through. Now, as he turns here, Christian Ziege definitely impeded him. If that hadn't been an advantage applied by the referee and he'd gone down for the free kick, Ziege would have been sent off.
Well, Ziege was very wary, wasn't he? He just clipped him with the faintest. I'm not sure the yellow card might have been shown there, but it's something the Germans, I'm sure, are very aware of, and they won't have been pleased to have picked up 5 yellow cards in a game such as this.
I think it's actually 6 now, Trevor, with Hessler, isn't it? But anyway, it's only a matter of academic matter unless somebody offends again. Here's Nemetz, and now Babel sliding it in again to Kukar, wide to Latau. I think we're going to see Oliver Bierhoff very shortly. If you watched our programme last night, you'll know that he could have had a career as an opera singer. He was a choir boy as a youth, but he chose football and he plays in the Italian league. The only German, in fact, who does, plays for Udinese. And he's going to replace the hard-working Stefan Kuntz.
Yes, Bierhoff, a popular figure with the German supporters. They were cheering him when he was warming up just now. I thought he might have had a little bit of an earlier run out, but he's going to play that lone striker's role now, which was pretty tough going in the last 20 minutes for poor old Stefan Kuntz up there by himself.
It's Moller who's away, and indeed Bierhoff is in the centre here. Maybe an early chance for him. Struntz is pushing on as well, but the attack is slightly laboured here. It's come back to Reuter. They've kept possession though, it's Hessler. Forward by Sammer. Hessler again. Goal kick.
Hessler, one of those 6 that are booked, and certainly Ziege and Moller are probably those 3 out of the 6 I'd be most concerned with if I was Birdie votes, because I think they are key players in his best lineup.
Kukar, free kick, fouled by Babel. Berger, Kukar, Drulak. Of course, the competition is for who would play with Klinsmann in the next match, isn't it? So Bierhoff's got a short time to press his claims, now that the 2 other strikers who started the match have both been taken off. Kuntz and Bobic. But he'll be back, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think he would have relished the opportunity to get on the end of a few crosses for the marking of the Czech Republic side. They weren't particularly impressive, were they, in those set-piece areas?
Well, we're 6 minutes from the end of this Group C match. And it is only going one way. The Germans who've made the European Championship and the World Cup their property on more than one occasion are showing that they mean serious business in Euro 96. Not that there's any real surprise about that. Bierhoff called up for backing in. Doesn't bode too well for the Czech Republic when you think they've still got to play Russia and Italy. But here's Niedved. Oh, good ball, Drulak, but good defending by Ziege. Well, he can do 2 or 3 jobs, this fellow. He can defend, he can attack down the left-hand side, and he can score goals as well. What more do you want? Free kick to the Czechs, Hessler fouling again. On Latol. Now Berger. Good block. Babel's in there. And the referee gives the Czechs a free kick. Just outside the area.
Yeah, I think it was handball, wasn't it? Oliver Bierhoff back in defence. Wonder if opportunity. Patrick Berger out there, perhaps, I don't know. He's done quite well since coming on, I think, for the second half.
Who's going to take this one?
Well, it looks like a left footer. Patrick Berger seems to be using his left hook most of the time, but there's about 18 in the wall.
Berger, deflection and wide. Yes, there were. There were actually chances where it would hit somebody. Anyway, it's a corner to the Czechs. They're making a belated bid to claw something back here. Hornyak has come forward again. Babel makes the run. Sukuparek is in there, but the Germans are so good at defending corners. That's been made absolutely plain today. Here's Kukar. He's got some talent, this number 9, but he does tend to over-elaborate. Free kick. Stefan Reuter protests his innocence, but David Ellery is not giving the players an inch here. And this time, number 5 Kadlec has placed the ball. But Berger's there again, and so is Sukuparek. 3 minutes to go. And again, they've packed the wall, players from both sides. That's Kadlec, and only the same, well, not even a corner this time.
Interested to watch the Germans as they get an opportunity on the replay. They jump up in unison to make themselves about 7 foot tall. I've not seen the side do that so consistently in tune together.
Here's Hessler, Moller. I'll tell you one that they didn't jump and stop, and that was Stoichkov in the World Cup, wasn't it? Changed the game, but there's not much sign of that here. This is Reuter to Eilts. Oh, well played by Strunt. Sammer now, every pass is being cheered. Moller. Kessler. There's a couple of minutes left on the watch, and this is the Germans at their most dominating now, at their most authoritative. Ziege. Babel does well to win it back for the Czechs. Here's Berger. That's not a bad ball either out of the left-hand side to Kukar. And he gets beyond Eilts, but the gesture of frustration by the Czech number 9, really, even when the ball ran loose, they were outnumbered by about 3 to 1. Sammer again takes the route forward. Niedved cuts him off. Reuter in quickly, handball by Nemetz. Summing up then?
Well, a good performance, really dominated by a 25-minute spell leading up to half-time when the match was won. Certainly in midfield, I think Moller's been outstanding. Hessler's had a good game. 2 wing-backs, Ziege and Reuter, have been endless with their overlapping runs, and of course Sammer has been the playmaker at the back, but in the second half they've been sort of in a lower gear, just keeping on to the 2-0 scoreline, but they're going to be a difficult side to beat.
Theo hop up towards Moller, but drops gently for the goalkeeper, who perhaps will have to look back on at least one of the goals, but that's very much history and opinion now anyway. The game is safely in the hands of the former champions. This is Niedved. The 90 minutes in fact is up, but the Czechs go on plowing away. Niedved